The silent millionaire and the unexpected gift, the crystal chandeliers of Le Chateau, cast their golden glow across the opulent dining room, where Maxwell Thornton sat in his usual corner booth every Thursday evening. At 42, he was one of the city's most successful real estate developers, a man whose signature graced contracts worth millions. Yet here he sat, alone, surrounded by the gentle clatter of silverware and the muted conversations he could never hear. Maxwell had been deaf since birth. He'd learned to read lips with remarkable skill, built an empire through determination and brilliant business acumen, and cultivated a life of luxury that most could only dream of. But wealth, he'd discovered, couldn't buy the one thing he craved most: genuine connection. The restaurant staff knew him well. They'd learned basic sign language to communicate with him, a gesture he appreciated more than they knew. But tonight, as he sat reviewing documents on his tablet, something was different. Maria Gonzalez pushed her cleaning cart past the dining area, her movements efficient despite the exhaustion etched into her features. She worked 3 jobs to support her 6-year-old daughter, Sophia, who tonight sat on a chair near the kitchen door, quietly coloring in a worn notebook. The restaurant manager had reluctantly allowed it, knowing Maria had no one to watch her daughter during the evening shift. Maxwell glanced up from his tablet, his eyes drawn to the small figure hunched over her drawings. The child's concentration reminded him of himself at that age, lost in his own silent world, finding solace in activities that didn't require sound. Sophia looked up at that moment, her dark eyes meeting his. Instead of the usual awkwardness or pity he often encountered, she simply smiled and waved. Maxwell, surprised, raised his hand in return. The little girl slid off her chair and walked toward him with the fearless curiosity of childhood. Maria, emerging from the restroom she'd been cleaning, froze in horror. "Sophia, no, mija, come back," she called, rushing forward. But Sophia had already reached Maxwell's table. She looked at him intently, then began moving her hands in deliberate gestures. Maxwell's eyes widened in astonishment. The child was signing. "Hello." Her small hand spelled out. "My name is Sophia. What's yours?" For the first time in months, Maxwell felt his carefully constructed composure crack. His hands moved almost of their own accord, responding to this unexpected connection. "My name is Maxwell," he signed back, his expression softening in a way the restaurant staff had never seen. Maria reached them, breathless and apologetic. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Thornton. Sophia, you can't bother the guests." Maxwell held up a hand, then pulled out his phone and typed quickly. The text-to-speech function announced, "She's not bothering me at all. She knows sign language?" Maria's cheeks flushed. "Yes, sir. We've been learning together. There's a deaf boy in her class at school, and Sophia wanted to be his friend. We've been watching videos online, practicing together. I'm sorry if she—" "Please." Maxwell signed and spoke simultaneously, his voice carrying the careful enunciation of someone who'd worked with speech therapists for years. "Don't apologize. This is wonderful." Sophia beamed at him. "Can I show you my drawings?" she signed. Maxwell nodded, and the little girl ran back to get her notebook. The restaurant had grown quieter, other diners watching this unusual scene unfold. Over the next 20 minutes, as Maria nervously returned to her work, Sophia showed Maxwell her pictures, crayon drawings of her school, her mother, their small apartment, and fantastical creatures she'd imagined. She chattered with her hands, telling him stories about each picture with the unfiltered honesty of childhood. "This is my mom," she signed, pointing to a stick figure with a big smile. "She works very hard. She's always tired, but she still helps me with homework and teaches me new signs." "Your mom is very special," Maxwell signed back. "She is," Sophia agreed. Then, with the directness of a child, she asked, "Why do you always eat alone? Don't you have a family?" The question struck him like a physical blow. He'd built walls around himself for so long, telling himself that solitude was a choice, not a consequence. "I have colleagues and business associates," he signed slowly. "But no, not really a family." "That's sad," Sophia signed, her small face serious. "Everyone should have family." Before Maxwell could respond, the restaurant manager approached, clearly uncomfortable. Mr. Thornton, I apologize for the interruption. Maria, I need you to finish the... Actually, Maxwell spoke and signed simultaneously. I'd like to speak with Maria, if possible. Maria approached hesitantly, wringing her hands. Sir, I promise this won't happen again. I know it's unprofessional. Maxwell stood, his imposing height softened by the gentleness in his eyes. He typed on his phone. Maria, your daughter is remarkable. The fact that you're learning sign language together, just so she can communicate with a classmate, that's extraordinary parenting. Maria's eyes welled with tears. We just want everyone to feel included, she signed haltingly. Her movements less practiced than Sophia's but sincere. An idea was forming in Maxwell's mind, one that felt both terrifying and absolutely right. I'd like to make you an offer, he said, switching between signing and speaking. I'm looking for someone to manage my household staff. The position comes with a substantial salary, health insurance, and staff housing in the west wing of my home. It would mean you could quit your other job, spend more time with Sophia. Maria stared at him in disbelief. Sir, I clean restaurants. I'm not qualified to. You're raising a compassionate, intelligent, brave daughter while working 3 jobs. You're learning a new language to help a child feel less alone. That tells me everything I need to know about your character and capability. He paused, then added, Besides, the position comes with one unusual requirement. Maria waited, holding her breath. I need someone willing to have dinner with me occasionally, to teach me the kind of sign language a child would use, full of imagination and stories. His voice cracked slightly. I need someone to help me remember how to connect with people, not just conduct business with them. Sophia tugged on his sleeve. Does that mean you won't be alone anymore? She signed. Maxwell knelt down to her level, a gesture that made several nearby diners pull out their phones, moved by the scene unfolding before them. I think, he signed to Sophia, his eyes bright, it means we won't be alone anymore, any of us. 3 months later, Le Chateau's regular Thursday evening scene had changed dramatically. Maxwell still sat at his corner booth, but now he was accompanied by Maria and Sophia. The little girl would regale him with stories from school, teaching him the playground signs her deaf classmate had taught her, while Maria would share her plans for the household and laugh at Maxwell's attempts to master the more theatrical aspects of sign language. The staff marveled at the transformation. The silent millionaire who'd once seemed so isolated now laughed freely, his hands dancing through conversations about everything from Sophia's spelling tests to Maria's ideas for redecorating the mansion's guest rooms. But the real change went deeper. Maxwell had started a foundation funding sign language education in schools. He'd begun attending Sophia's school events, surprising himself by how much joy he found in watching her perform in the holiday concert, where she signed the songs for her deaf classmate in the front row. One evening, as they finished dinner, Sophia showed him a new drawing. It depicted 3 stick figures holding hands, a tall man, a woman, and a small girl. Above them, in careful letters, she'd written one word, family. Maxwell held the picture carefully, his vision blurring. He'd spent his whole life believing that his deafness made him somehow less capable of connection, that his wealth was compensation for what he could never have. It took a cleaning lady's determination to give her daughter a better life, and a 6-year-old's fearless compassion to teach him the truth. The most valuable things in life couldn't be bought. They could only be given freely, a wave across a restaurant, a child's trust, a mother's hope for something better, and the courage to let people into a heart that had been silent for far too long. As they left the restaurant that night, Maxwell signing an animated conversation with Sophia while Maria looked on with quiet happiness, the other diners watched them go. Some wiped tears from their eyes, others smiled at their companions, reminded of what truly mattered. The silent millionaire had found his voice, not in sound, but in connection. And in doing so, he discovered that the greatest wealth wasn't measured in dollars, but in the simple, profound blessing of no longer eating or living alone.